Just making our way through the gallery, having a sweet vacay.
Done.
Surely I can't find a way to die in this room. This looks like a subterranean landscape. A massive cavern interior filled with a colorful, faintly luminescent, gigantic fungi. A placard reads, Veil beneath Clangdin. This painting is a dark cityscape. A faraway view of some giant center of civilization being burned to the ground. The streets of the place are empty, however, absent of soldiers, refugees, and even corpses. A placard reads, The Folly of Udo. An obliterated city, but with no people. This one's interesting. The hundreds of chips of translucent green glass which make up this stained glass window don't appear to be held together by anything, but rather remain free-floating and mysteriously suspended within the iron frame's boundaries. The shards ripple and move in slow waves, causing bizarre patterns to fluctuate across the window's surface as various portions of it refract the Galleria's light in different directions. A small placard beside the window reads, Arcadian Stained Glass Window. Touch it. You reach out to touch the undulating glass shards, but you find you cannot do so. Your hand stops just short of the surface of the glass. Punch it! You succeed only in bruising your knuckles. The glass may as well be sheet iron. This painting shows an enormous granite keep. A hideous thing, long and low, covered in leering gargoyles, suspended in what looks to be the night sky. A cloud of crimson and violet vapor whirls in the background along with the right side of the painting. A placard reads simply, The Library. This painting depicts a shore scene with a wide reddish-orange sun setting behind a peninsula or large jetty. The scene, though unoriginal, is breathtaking. The play of the fading daylight across the water is captured perfectly, but staring at the painted sun for any length of time makes your eyes ache. The placard reads Surface of Thalacia. Touch it. Oddly enough, there's nothing unusual about the surface of the painting. This one's got flowing water again. A set of 4 paintings which portray an empty beach in the dead of night. The air around the painting smells faintly of brine, and the painted sea seems to ebb and flow across the darkened shore. The placard reads, Karasuthran Shoreline. Sniff the painting. The surface of the painting smells strongly of sea air. Of sea air. I pronounced it strange. Sea air. Touch the painting. You place your hand on the painting, not knowing quite what to expect, but it is merely the texture of painted canvas that you feel beneath your fingertips. And this strange thing. Dark birds of Ocanthus. Several shards of black crystal, or ice, swirl within the freezing wind that this ornate pedestal gives forth. Each shard looks razor sharp. Touching or grabbing one could be perilous. A placard on the pedestal reads, Dark Birds of Ocanthus. Touch one. As you reach out to touch one of the whirling shards, your finger enters the icy wind that rises from the pedestal. Instantly, a coat of numbing frost forms around your finger, causing you to momentarily draw back. Do it again. Commit. You thrust your finger into the frigid, numbing wind. Unbeknownst to you, your forefinger freezes solid. As one of the black shards spins into it, your fingertip breaks off with a sharp crack and goes skittering across the Galleria floor. The icy dark birds remain in their whirling orbit as you wait for your fingertip to grow back. Leave and hope no one saw that? Grab one. Grab one. You thrust your hand into the frigid, numbing wind. Unbeknownst to you, your entire hand freezes solid as you wrap it around one of the dark birds. As another of the black shards spins into your fist, your hand breaks off at the wrist with a sharp crack and goes clattering across the Galleria floor. Pick your hand up and stick it back on, quick. You pick up the frost-covered fist and thrust it into your onto your bleeding stump, noticing that the dark bird you grabbed, a razor-sharp shard of black ice, has already melted away to nothing. It looks like you'll have to catch it in something that will keep it cold. Eventually, warmth and feeling returns to your hand as your tissues thaw and regenerate. So you can take one, but you have to keep it cold or it'll just disintegrate, apparently. Oh. He's healing me.
I'm gone.
That was a little startling. It was loud. And it just showed up. I'm not used to seeing clearly that they act on their own. The sensate. Sorry, sir, but I'm here to look at the artwork, not to converse with strangers. Now, if you'd be so kind as to excuse me, farewell. Do you have any questions regarding one of the pieces? Yes, I do. The dark birds of Ocanthus.
Updated my journal.
All of them are chipped from the great magical sheet of black, infinite ice that rests in the black belly of the plain of Ocanthus. Ivana pauses, tapping her chin. It is said that this sheet of ice is the final destination of the river Styx? Well, that's been mentioned before. And that the recollections of all that have plunged into the Styx's memory-destroying waters still lie frozen within the ice. Okay. The other guy wanted River Styx water. Apparently, it's actually available. I'm surprised that the River Styx exists in this universe just because it's something we already have in our world. When it's not real, but, you know. If the waters from the Styx destroy one's memories, would this ice from Ocanthus do the same? I can only assume so, yes. The Arcadian stained glass window. A stained glass window found hovering on the third layer of Arcadia 32 years ago, foretelling a scene that had yet to occur. Every now and then my brain just breaks and invents new pronunciations. When the event came to pass, the images faded to leave what you saw behind. It is believed to have captured both the light and the darkness of the orb of night and day on Arcadia, then slowly release it, creating a brief but slow fade of dawning and dusk, but only within the glass itself. Orb of night and day, Arcadia? Arcadia is a plane of peaceful order, also known as the land of perfect good. The orb of night and day is a sphere set in the top of Arcadia's highest peak. Each half emits either light or darkness, and the turning of the orb gives Arcadia its day and night. The battle horde of Acheron. Ah, the cleansing horn. A horn of beaten lead, metal, drawn directly from the cube of Acheron. You don't want to put your mouth on something made of lead. It is said that the cleansing horn last sounded where the companies of the Jackal and the Gouged Eye clans met for their battle at the Disputed Lands. Legends tell that this horn's power was used near the battle's end to draw the floating cubes together, crushing the routing company of the Jackal before it could escape. Cubes? Acheron. Acheron is a plane of harshly enforced order, where conformity is more important than good. It is composed of gigantic metallic cubes which float through an endless void. Many cubes are large enough that cities or entire kingdoms have been built upon their faces. Conformity is more important than good. Ugh. So it's lawful neutral or something? The ruby statuette. That piece was found in a cathedral in the fertile fields of Elysium on the first layer. Amoria the Untroubled, where it bordered the river Oceanus. The name of the pieces is not known, but the skill and craftsmanship are believed to be one of the most striking examples of gem crafting in the plains. The mere way in which the piece captures, distills, and enhances the light through its facets is part of its breathtaking wonder. It seems to bring to light the possible ideological connection between even the most evil and the purest beings in the multiverse. Fascinating. The chitin's animate chain. The chain comes from the city of Jangling Heiter. The city of chains that hangs on Minaros, third layer of Baator. The chains are the finest in the multiverse, but the inhabitants of Jangling Heiter are malicious and cruel, using the chains as living weapons against all that enter their city and violate their laws. That sounds like it's a very bad time for you. Chitins move about the city of chains as spiders upon webs, adorned in chains woven tightly around their bodies. Chitins possess a power known as the Gift of Chains, which allows them to manipulate chains with their minds. It is believed that the Galleria's chain was animated during a battle in which the chitin controlling it was slain with a cursed hammer, its life essence then passing into the chain itself. You're calling chitins its? What a specific ability to have. Not like the ability over, like, iron or magnetic power or something, but no, specifically chains. But this is the thought realm, or whatever the hell's going on with this, with the Planescapes. Things do be nonsense here. The statue of the Screaming Man. This statue is believed to be the final fate of the Ethersarian sorcerer Gangroid Haiden, attacked by a conclave of rival sorcerers at the height of his dream madness. He was imprisoned with a spell that turned his flesh into stone. Gangroid Haiden is said to have been frozen with a final, awful curse still upon his lips, a curse so terrible that it was never meant to be spoken by the lips of a living man. It is said that the fury of the curse was enough to blister the flesh from the bones of those that heard it, and that it would even shatter the stones themselves. And if that's really him, then unleashing him might obliterate us all. The paintings are their own category. I was gonna say that list seemed a little short. Karasuthran Shoreline. Karasuthra is a layer of the Beastlands, which is perpetually shrouded in night, filled with all manner of animals that stalk their prey in the darkness. A painter who had fallen in love with a cat lord and followed her to her homeland gave the paintings to me. Never did he reveal to me the secrets of their construction. There's a cat lord. There's the beast realms. Outland Raiders. Interesting piece, yes? The painter managed a most interesting effect with the forms of the cliff's shadows. The woman who brought me this piece told me she found it in an abandoned camp in the Outlands. The original painter was never found. Presumably they were slain by the same raiders whose image they captured in the painting. It's a bit presumptuous to just assume that these people... Oh, they must have been killed by the thing in the painting. Obviously. I just noticed this. There's a swirl here that might be inspectable separately. Maybe not. It's the only part of the floor that's like that. Interesting. Azazoth at the consumption of Nigar. This painting is a copy of the wall of a copy from the wall of one of the gatehouses. Sigil's largest asylum. cell walls. All the occupant could speak was Hazazoth has consumed Ingar. Really getting nervous about this fucking name here. Hazazoth has consumed Ingar. A bit frightening, I think, but a fine painting nonetheless. Maybe don't name anything in your game this. That's very dangerous. The Service of Thalasia. Thalasia is the sea in which the river Oceanus, which winds through most of the plain of Elysium, begins and ends. The piece was painted by one of the many island's inhabitants. The library. I know very little about this piece. It simply arrived on the doorstep of my galleria one day, swathed in black cloth and labeled "From the Citadel." One knowledgeable patron hypothesized that it might be some great sorcerer's fortress suspended within a demi-plane of their own creation. The Folly of Udo. This painting illustrates one of the legends of the prime world Goha. Udo was a wizard king of such skill and power that he set to casting a spell that would turn himself into a power, and the people of his great nation into divine servants. With the spell's completion, lightning crashed down in Udo's palace, around Udo's palace, setting it ablaze, and before the thunder had died away, the city was empty. Not a living thing to be found. Over 70,000 people vanished without a trace, in a heartbeat. No one knows the fate of Udo or his people. Vale beneath Clangdon. Bullbog Stone Nose sold this painting to me. It is of a field beneath Mount Clangdon, the home of the dwarf Einhirrar, spirits of the upper plains who serve as guardians or warriors in the plain of Arcadia. Grey Hag of Oino. This is said to be a portrait of Ravel Puzzlewell, very likely the most evil hag ever to terrorize the Grey Waste and beyond. But they just like puzzles, don't they? Wave Motion Study number 7. What a name. A young man whose name I do not know sold me this piece. It is one of several he had, but the others had already had owners, or so he said. I would so like to possess the entire collection, but alas, it oft seems some things are not meant to be. You didn't tell me anything about the painting. Moment's glance from the walls of Mokma. Mokma is a Githzerai fortress which floats in the plain of Limbo. The moment's glance was painted by the Chaos Scholar D, who remembers everything she sees within the perfect clarity when she is not stricken with madness. I think that's going to be it for now. So not a lot of stuff to follow up on, but we do have this shard of ice. Let's see, is it mentioned anywhere? We're still looking for a birdcage festooned in razor blades, which is just a strange objective. This gallery does not seem to be where I'm going to be finding that, but wasn't there a curiosity shop? That seems like that'll be where I find something weird like that. So a lot of my objectives just involve finishing exploring the zone, really. Okay, so I can't really talk to this guy. Or these two guys, as it were. I thought they might have a solution for me of how to store something cold. But they do not seem especially helpful today. Alright, back to it. These guys are having an argument.
Done.
This young actor seems far too involved with giving his performance to pause to speak with you. You notice that near his feet is a felt cap containing a small sum of copper. Occasionally a passerby will drop a coin or three into the cap. Drop a coin. Your coin lands in the cap with a soft clink. The actor, without stopping his performance, gives you a quick nod of thanks. Fourth wall broken, stealing all your money now. An attack that was, though thou dost not see. Oh, they're acting. Ah, their fight is the act. That's what I was walking in on. Namel is out here? Oh, this is the bar, right. I mixed her up with one of the people from the brothel. Namel clasps her hands together and bows her head. When she finally looks up and smiles at you, a wave of pleasure washing over your body. The effort is almost dizzying. Namel thanked the stranger once more. She only hoped he knew how happy she felt to be reunited with Aelwyn. I think I do. Farewell, Namel. Farewell, Namel. Ha!
Beautiful globes, let me have at him.
Let me have at him. Curiosity Shopee it is. Thug boss. You'll pike off quick if you know what's good for you. Get out of here. This young but well-muscled thug, while certainly well-armored and large enough to be dangerous, seems awfully clean for a typical street tough. He's carrying a massive axe in one hand and a steel box in the other. As you near him, he puffs up and scowls at you. What are you looking at, sod? Pike off, before I've to scrag you. Scrag? What in the 9 planes of Betoy are you talking about, you idiot? Scrag, snagged, nipped, yanked by the hardheads, you clueless addle-coved Burke. Glares daggers at Anna but says nothing. You do seem a little well-groomed for a thug. Stop shaking your bone box, leatherhead. This is my territory. You'll be leaving it quick if you don't want my bloods to tear you apart. Anna snickers, shaking her head. Rattle, his sod. Rattling your bone box it is. I'd so like to see how long you'd last, dropped smack in the middle of the eye, acting as you are. Anna turns to you. Come on, let's be off. No use wasting our time on this wee-stemmed basher would-be. His face flushes angrily as he gnashes his teeth in frustration. That's it! You've piking asked for it! Get him, bloods! He raises an axe and leaps to attack. I'm not running from you. You've made a poor choice this day. Just a very poor choice. Owie! Ow, 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 ow. Everybody becomes all strong-like now.
Yes.
Sensory touch. Oh, the heal she was using before, or if I heal via an ability, she takes the health onto herself. Cure light wounds.
I hear your words.
I? My faith lengthens strength.
Yup.
All right.
They weren't going to really stand much of a chance. But it was their mistake to make. Well, now I get to know what's in the box, so that's exciting.
Can't run while I'm carrying all this. Can't run while I'm carrying all this.
darkness hears you. Yes, my master.
Inventory is filling up quickly. Okay. Can't run while I'm carrying all this. Here, you become my jewelry person, because I don't know. You're here. There is an excess of jewels. Steel box. This sturdy steel box has a thick leather handle on the top, but there's no apparent way to open the thing. It appears to be welded shut. There are a number of very narrow slits along one side that you can't quite see into the box through them. A sickly sweet rotting smell wafts out from the slits. Ugh. Talk to item? As you examine the container more closely, it shifts slightly in your hands. Something's moving inside it. There's a man's voice from within. Oh, there? Is someone there, by chance? My name's Merton. Anyone? Hail? Oh, it's the Sensate's head, isn't it? Yes, greetings. Thank the powers. Have you seen my body, perchance? It's hard to miss him. Stumbles about with a silly wooden head on its shoulders. He must have worn his feet down to stubs looking for me by now. Yes, in the Civic Fest Hall. My good fortune, then. Can I persuade you to return me to him, good sir? Yes, I'll do that for you.
Updated my journal.
How splendid. I thank you kindly, then, sir. If you don't mind, now we'll hold off speaking any further until I'm with my body again. But I have some questions. I'm sure you do, sir. Coming across a severed speaking head locked in an iron case, but it will have to wait. Very tiresome being separated from my body, you see. My humblest apologies. It probably sucks.
Run while I'm carrying all this.
How heavy is it? Not that heavy. I have like excess rando weapons in my inventory.
Done.
Go, 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 go. And now he didn't even get murdered by a ghost this time.
Done.
Dum ba da bum bum bum. There he is. Right. I was looking for. Once again, I made the mistake of looking for a headless person. This must be Merton's body. Merton's voice suddenly echoes from within the steel box. Oh, there it is. That's my body. Say there, old chum. Over here. The body shuffles towards you, reaching out towards the steel box containing Merton's head. Allow Merton's body to take his head.
My journal.
Ah, much better, I thank you, good sir. I imagine my body here was getting a bit restless without me. The body hugs the steel box tightly. Yes, I missed you too. The body tucks the case under its arm and bows to you. And as for you, good sir, you certainly deserve some of sort of reward for your trouble. Let's see what I've got now. The body fumbles about its pockets and finding nothing there in its tunic. Finally, it presents you with several handfuls of copper coins. Thanks, Merton. I had some questions. Certainly, ask whatever you'd like. How'd you end up the way you are? I'm not sure, really. The body sent me down in one of the lecture... The body set me down in one of the lecture halls. The next thing I knew, someone had absconded with me. The next thing I remember was being picked up by you. But what I meant was, how'd you lose your head? The body stiffens visibly. Oh, we don't like to talk about it. Quite horrible, really. What's past is past. No need to dredge it up. Though I will say I'm in the box because my head's not quite as presentable as my body, if you get my meaning. Just rotting all the time. Unpleasant. What are you doing here? I mostly amble about the fest hall. You know, lumber here, lumber there. I'm not a sensate, mind you, but I just like to watch all the different sorts of people milling about. A sensate? The body gently rocks the steel box, nodding the head inside. Yes, you know, the Society of Sensation. They race around trying to experience everything, figuring they'll eventually tumble onto some great dark of the universe, and should they keep it up long enough. The body shrugs. Can you tell me about this place? Merton sounds confused. Doesn't everyone know about the Civic Fest Hall? Well, it's the faction quarters of the Sensates, and perhaps more importantly, it holds their sensoriums. The sensoriums? The doorman here can explain better than I, sir, but they're chambers that house many enchanted stones, which in turn hold various experiences and sensations which have been recorded into them. The public sensoriums are open to everyone, though there is a slight fee for their use. The private sensoriums are only open to members of the Society of Sensation. Sensates. That's all I wish to know. Farewell. Is he done bonking?
Done.
He seems to have found a new position to stand in. So they did account for having him behave differently once he has his head. I was curious how that was going to play out.
I'm gone.
Well, we done gone and stumbled onto that solution. They just had to go and attack me, too. Who steals a head? Like, come on. Oh, hello. Sneaky tent?
All right.
Y'all are terrible for indoor environments.
Why not?
I'm gone.
Okay. There does not appear to be anything in that room. Curious looking building, to say the least. I thought there was going to be something going on with that door. But not this time, it would seem. The Curiosity Shoppy. Standish.
I'm gone.
And Vrishika. So she owns this place and Standish is doing grunt work, I guess. Shelves full of mugs, plates, books, decanters, candle holders, another bric-a-brac. Most of the strange metals or minerals and many of the books appear to be bound in flesh. Ah, normal. An empty book holder, holding a set of invisible books. Several very large teeth. A dozen smaller ones lie stacked in a shelf above them. 3 orbs resemble nothing so much as large colored pearls. They tremble slightly at your touch and give off a faint warmth. Shelves full of bric-a-brac. Okay. A massive battle standard. It looks to be made of some scaled creature's hide. Its sight stirs up faint memories. You may not have seen this particular one before, but others like it, perhaps. Bric-a-brac. These swords are beautiful, worked with delicate engravings and inscriptions. They are merely decorative, however, unsuitable for use in combat. Wacky McFun-time swords. A set of unusual forge tools, though their handles look to be made of carved bone. They are heavier than iron. Bric-a-brac. What a term. This sharp-featured woman's appearance is attractive, though somewhat disturbing. I think we've commented on the attractiveness of every single woman that's ever been described. Which gender? No one ever talks about how hot the dudes are. Like, what the fuck? With blue-black skin and bright yellow eyes, as she examines you, a small pair of bat-like wings unfold from her back. They seem to settle back into her skin. Very well. Fall from grace, or whatever it is you call yourself now. Truly a pleasure to see you here. What do I owe the honor of your visit? I thought you rarely trafficked among our kind anymore. She glances at you for a moment with the same faint sneer. Or is your assignment here almost finished? I do not know what assignment you are referring to, Vrishchika. Though your presence here brings with it many questions. Last I heard, you were a standard bearer for the Company of the Vulture. How did you come to Sigil? You guys were next door to each other and you didn't know that each other were here? She replies curtly, firing a question back like an arrow. By choice. And you? Where will your orders take you next? She suddenly turns to you. You see, little man. Vrishchika smiles as if savoring the words. The best temptress is one that can make you buy into the illusion of being both promiscuous yet virtuous at the same time. A prostitute priestess, as it were. Mistress Grace is among the greatest. She turns to Fall from Grace. Are you not? You would not think that 1,000 years of slavery had left their scars, no? Fall from Grace speaks with a coldness you have never heard before. The air almost becomes ice as she dissects Vrishchika with her gaze. That is enough. Very well. Though you are the ones who came into my emporium. Vrishchika looks to you. She narrows her eyes. You're the scarred man who's been going around asking all the questions. She looks you up and down. You sure look lost. Did you want to come in, really, or were you just casing the place because you have nothing better to do? Because Vrishchika, she indicates herself, can help you. How can you help me? I travel and trade extensively. I hear a great deal. I purchase a great deal. And I own a great deal. Perhaps I can make you a great deal. Is there anything that you desire? Only answers to some questions. I'll entertain any questions about merchandise, but I'm not going to be drawn into one of your famous 20 questions about anything about the Spire. Understood? I'm being made fun of for playing the game. What are you, Vrishchika? Vrishchika sighs loudly. An Alu fiend, a half-demon. My mother was Tanari, a fiend, and my father a great king of mortals. Such a rude question. But then you're rather rude-looking yourself, aren't you? I'm not even gonna comment. I'm just like, more questions now. You and Fall from Grace seem to care little for one another. Oh, that Batezu camp follower who made her home in Sigil? Curious, no. But then, what better a place to train her agents than that little brothel of hers? Batezu camp follower? Ever since her mother sold her into slavery, she has been a plaything of the plains for many a century. She claims that she was able to free herself from her chains, but you may give that word as much credence as you would give the word of any other Tanari bitch. She smiles slightly. Myself excluded, of course. It is the truth. Truth? Truth! One does not win free of Batezu contracts, bitch cloaked in human skin. You speak lies, and all the Tanari hordes know it. From the lowest legions to the other comfort-suckling succubi as they cavort across the plains. Fall from Grace was but a Batezu slave from the moment she was born, and so shall she always be. You still are an indentured plaything of the Batezu, to be tortured and commanded as they see fit. Vrishchika sneers. You even behave as they do. One may win free of Batezu contracts if one is wary of the wording, and if one realizes that the Batezu are beholden to keep their own word. One must simply beware of any meanings that may twist to their ends, and I am well versed in language and its subtleties. Even so, it was not an easy matter. Enough. I do not care to hear you speak your lies in my presence. From Grace maintains her flawless composure and simply nods, though when you catch her eye, she gives you a slight, exasperated look, then smiles. What was it you said about her training agents, Rishika? Yes, they are her eyes and ears in the city of Sigil, and across the plains. What they do not see or hear, they may coerce from another man that they have seen or heard. And who could think humans capable of such deceptions and trickery? Oh, Grace is indeed a clever one. Not as clever as her mother, perhaps, but clever nonetheless. This is not the purpose of my establishment. Oh, but of course not. Did I dare suggest such a thing? But perhaps you should let the man judge for himself. Rishika turns to you, eyes blazing. Do you not wonder, little man, does the method of reason and curiosity ever enter your mind as to this matter? Does not the arrangement at the brothel seem strange to you? Rishika goes on before he can answer. Occam's razor can leave a scar. They also know Occam's razor in this universe. Occam's razor can leave a scar, but it can remove the deeper ailments so often caused by poison of liars and imaginers. And now here she is, traveling with you. Most curious. Why would someone, a proprietress of such an establishment, leave it for any reason? And for a man she barely knows? Questions, questions. The answers may be painful indeed. He is well aware of why I agreed to travel with him, Rishika, when he asked me to do so. Oh, I'm certain he did ask. What man could resist? Rishika sneers and looks away in disgust. Imagine being straight. Tell me about this place, at least. What you see within this shop is the result of much trading and traveling across the plains. She makes a sweeping gesture at the shop. Weapons, charms, and other specialty items are for sale here, as well. Everything that is rare and so exquisite fills this emporium. Your needs, I sate them. Let's see your merchandise, then. Would you care to examine the weapons and charms, or some of my more exotic acquisitions? The exotic items. Rishika smiles as you look at the various shelves in the middle of the shop. If you see nothing you like here, there are more items towards the front and back of the store as well. This is the weird stuff. Then weapons and charms, yep. I thought they'd be two separate stores, but I guess not. Not normally. So this is a store that is a regular merchant store, and the other one's more dialogue driven, it seems. The Hammer of Communion. Hammer of Comminution. Comminution, the action of reducing a material to an ore to minute particles or fragments. So it's like disintegrating, basically. It's like the hammer of disintegration. 4 to 14 crushing, holy fuck. Speed 10 makes it the slowest weapon ever, though. 1 to 6 acid damage, enchanted +1, Thaco +2. Those are horrific numbers. Research reveals that this is a formidable weapon indeed, far superior to normal sledgehammer. This warhammer, also called the Hammer of Comminution, delivers a devastating strike that not only inflicts crushing damage, but also fractures any surface it contacts, whether bone, metal, or wood, inflicting extra damage. And if the victim survives, it also softens them up for the next attack. I guess it's the acid. The Hammer of Comminution was used extensively by Inote, a Doom Guard priest in 14 EU, a philosopher who was prone to violent mood swings while debating theology. He was known to espouse the virtues of the hammer as a means of furthering the decay of dead matter. Whether or not what he struck with the hammer was dead or alive before the blow is open to debate. A divine censor invokes raised dead. Teeth of the Fire Drake. 1-6 slashing plus 1 enchanted, 3-8 fire, immunity to fire. Usable by Morte only. These teeth look like lumps of charred bones. More like lumps of charred bones than actual teeth, although the origin is unknown. It can be deduced that they were taken from the some fire-breathing creature. Using the teeth grants the wearer certain benefits normally possessed by such creatures. So we can get new teeth. Angleless eye. Ah, I already have this eye. Usable only by Modrons? The TV men? So we can get more party members than there are slots down here then, or someone's leaving the party. Plus 10 lore, minus 2 damage. Plus 2 damage, plus 2 to missile weapons. Dread Bond, immunity to panic, plus 1 strength, usable by fighters and living creatures. Living fighters only. Spider bracelet, we've seen that before. Ashes of Palubum. Pabulum. Summons Trelons. Heart of the Fosterer. Minor artifact summons the Somian. Only by evil and neutral characters. What's this? Somian. This strange object is said to be the heart of the Fosterer. According to legend, the Fosterer was a sorcerer who built his empire upon the plain of Shale many centuries ago. He was rumored to have 3,333 hearts, and each of them carried in it a different evil he had committed in his lifetime. One of the evils he committed was the discovery of how to summon the Somin and bind him to his will. It said that the Fosterer was carried away by these beasts after he invoked them against some ancient foe, leaving only his hearts behind. According to planar scholars, the Somian are fiendish horses, said to have been born from the blood of the last of the Nightmare Lords. They're not so much flesh and blood as an abstract given substance. They come to anyone who seeks revenge and bind themselves to them. They were born from a great treachery at the Gloom Meet, the time when the fiends gather to speak to the others of their kind. The nightmares ride the skies to gather the fiends to this meeting, acting as messengers. While the fiends saw the nightmares are helpful, convenient allies, they had grown tired of bartering with the last of the Nightmare Lords for his consent to use them. So the fiends called a gloom meet only for the purpose of killing. They lured the Nightmare Lord there to kill him, and when he arrived, the fiends set upon him. He beseeched the other nightmares for aid, but they only watched, their eyes aflame as their lord was attacked. The fiends tried to put him in the dead book. They scattered the earth with caltrops covered in the foulest poisons in the hells, hurled barbed, cold iron spears at league wide into him. How fucking big? Wow. And then he tried to take the air, and when he tried to take to the air to escape, they turned the sky alight with magic, blinding his eyes white. They struck at him with everything in their hateful arsenal, but no matter what they struck him with, he was too proud to die. They hounded him to the edge of the Outlands, firing their cruel arrows and spears into him until he staggered into the hinterland mists and died there, or so it was said. It said that the Nightmare Lord stumbled into the mists of the hinterlands. His dark blood left a steaming trail across the landscape. Wherever his blood fell, the Outland itself cried out. wailing like a banshee, uttering the cries the Nightmare Lord would not. Less than a year later, the Somine rode from the hinterlands, seeking out any nightmares and fiends where they could find them. Their cries were the same as had risen from the blood wounds of the Outlands, and their minds were focused solely on revenge. It is said that gripping the heart of the Somine and wishing harm upon another would cause them to appear. The Somine will answer the user's call, then fade into the mists from which they came. Very big legend to that one. How many times can you use it? Minor artifact. I wonder what the actual requirements are for summoning and like the upsides and downsides and so on. I've accumulated too much bullshit in my inventory. It seems to be pointless. It's just more valuable because it's like, it's cool. None of these are like special. That'll give me a bit more money. And also clutter up our inventory, unfortunately. It's nice to have a separate buyback menu because otherwise in some of these games you clutter up their inventory with all the stuff that you've been finding. Is this a whole story too? Yep. The ashes of Pabulum. These ashes are all that remains of a school of illusionists called the Pabulum. According to their expedition logs, they traveled to the plane of Shale in search of the lost works of the Fosterer, a powerful sorcerer who once ruled an empire where the plane of Shale now lies. The naive illusionists were successful, and they stumbled across one of his lost works, a hive of vicious creatures called the Trelons. The remains of the mages were found days later by 2 barrier scouts and were burned over a pyre as a symbol of their folly. To unlock the power of these ashes, one only needs to stir them with the index finger of the left hand, then sprinkle a pinch of the ashes into the air in a circular pattern. The smell of the remains of these dead mages is said to cause a Trelon to appear to serve the user. No one knows where the Trelons originated from, but they seem to combine the worst characteristics of demons and insects. They seem to bear an insane hatred for mages, but the reason for this is unknown. Huh. You sure as hell don't summon the mages back. Like, it's not their poor spirits. You just straight up summon the things that killed them. They hate them that bad, evidently. This is a powerful item, but it's also ungodly expensive to the point where it's like outside of my scope of how the economy in this game even is likely to work for the most part. So that's wild. The exotic items. The Fiend's Tongue. You examine what appears to be a tongue floating in a jar of brine. Vrishka frowns at it. This is a Fiend's Tongue. A Cornugon's, I think, but who really knows? It's said that, placed into the mouth of any living thing, it will give the ability of speech, even if there was none before. I'm selling this oddity for only 66 coppers, should you want it. Okay. Yes, Vrishka purrs, a wise choice. The copper you pour into her hand seems to disappear the moment it touches her palm. She hands you the item. Please, enjoy your newest acquisition. We've had mute characters. I don't know if they'd want to speak, though. It seems specifically that the one at the brothel specifically does not want to speak, so this wouldn't be helpful there. The Gorgon Salve. You examine a bottle labeled as Gorgon Salve. Vrishchika holds it up for you. I traded for this with some sword-slinging prime worlder. Perseus, I think, was his name. Smeared onto the surface of any being turned to stone, it will revert them to flesh. Only 100 copper commons, a bargain considering how handy it might come should you ever find a friend of yours transmuted to rock. I'll take it. That, want to end the world by summoning the murder man at the gallery? Hooray! Examine the metallic cube figurine. You examine a small metallic replica of a cube-like creature with huge eyes on one of its faces. The toy has 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 folding wings, and at least 18 points of articulation. Vrishchika smiles as you pick it up. A collector's item, perhaps, or a piece of artwork, who knows? But I like it. If you do buy it, ask around. Someone might know more about it than I. You can have it for only 1,500 copper coins. Jeez, that's expensive. The monster jug. You examine a plain-looking jug. Despite its common appearance, you feel reluctant to touch the thing, as if it might bite you. Vrishchika watches you, chuckling, then shrugs. It's a jug. It's got some sort of monster trapped in it. That's why your hair is prickling up like that. If you like it, it's only 123 copper. I can afford the other one, I guess, so I might as well go for it. They not so subtly hint that you can take it to the art gallery to ask about it. Oh. The elixir of horrific separation. Sounds like it might help with the merchant. I did not quite read ahead. She suggested that there was more, but I didn't realize just how much there would be here. There's a lot of stuff here. I can't afford more, really. A Modron cube. The small metal toy is a replica of a cube-like mechanical creature with huge eyes on one of its faces. The toy has 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 foot. The intricacy of this toy is incredible. Its joints are composed of tiny gears, cogs, pulleys, and swivel joints, and there are even tiny springs on the legs that help support the feet. There is a little switch in the back that moves the eyes back and forth. The wings are made up of some tissue-like metal that folds up neatly when the wings are flush with the body. Despite the toy's awkward shape, it rests easily on any surface, no matter how uneven. Use? Move the arms and make sword fighting noises. Pew, pew, pew. The toy clicks and whirs as you move its clockwork joints. Within moments, the tiny cube has vanquished every imaginary opponent you have set against it, and settled back into its normal position. Wave its arms and make cheering noises. Hordes of imaginary creatures from across the plains cheer the cube's victory. You can almost see a tiny, oily tear brimming in one of its eyes. It is a hero, the greatest cube ever to roam the plains, and everyone loves it. In your mind, Fall from Grace and Anna hug it and shower it with kisses. Sigh and put the cube away for future battles against the multiverse. What have I done buying this? There's the salve. Monster jug. Fiend's tongue. Gotta try to keep my inventory straight here. With all my nonsense. I think I've met somebody else that also couldn't speak. That wasn't just the woman that's voluntarily mute. I think I can find another use for that. How weird would it be to give to the mime?